call it a day and move on. But
No, you're
I
you're 100% right.
with a lot of low self-esteem. I know people are like, oh, I like Asian women because they're so submissive. And I'm just like, honey, please. All my closest friends are Asian. My aunt was Asian. My aunt beat the shit out of my uncle. My Korean little tiny aunt, she beat the shit out of my uncle she was married to, and then had the nerve
Mm-hmm.
to try to beat the shit out of my other uncle that she wasn't married to. He called
Mm-hmm. Have you?
he called her a ninja, and I'm just like, uncle, wrong Asian. But he's like, nah, he called her the Trinity because it was the 90s, right? And she, you get out of my house, you teach Randy to cuss, you teach Randy to cuss. And it's like, no, nigga, Randy's watching the fucking Terminator. Like, he learned how to cuss from watching the movie. She whooped my uncle's ass. But my uncle
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, my uncle
I,
wasn't.
I I tell anybody, when they start talking about how black women behave and this, that, and the third. I say, you get it when you get a chance. Any guys listening that think that other races of women are great and awesome, watch a series called Snapped. Snapped. That's Snapped. Okay, it chronicles all these other women, and I rarely see black women on here, but some of the stuff these women do, they are janky as hell. Janky. Okay, janky. They will be giving you giving you what you think is Gatorade, and it's what is it, antifreeze.
Antifreeze.
You know, putting Visine in your food, and you wonder how come you can't. You're just poisoning you slowly. Look, I mean, and a lot of times these men know hey, like, I got to keep my shit together because these women ain't gonna let you up and just walk away and
No,
leave them high and dry like that. They're not
but
gonna do it.
with a lot of bullshit because they're desperate to keep their men in them because there's such a mind fuck when it comes to racism. But when it comes down to psychology and gender, what happens with women when we have low self-esteem or the feminine brain is that we implode. So we start to cut ourselves, we start to starve ourselves, we hurt ourselves, we do dumb shit to ourselves. Whereas with men, they explode. So
Hmm.
start to take it out on their reflection. So a man with low self-esteem may not cut himself. He may not say I'm not shit. He may not end up committing suicide, but he might kill his brother who looks like him. He'll try to shoot the part of him that isn't loved. Get rid of, whatever black men or black women that remind him too much of what's wrong with him. So
That's deep. That's yeah, I never really thought about it like that.
it's
Or heard the person that he so called loves. You know.
it's a science between the masculine brain and the feminine brain. They're studying, the brains of homosexuals and bisexuals to see if it's really a gender thing or if it's just kind of a yin and yang thing. But that's actually how it works. And that's why it's so much more dangerous, the low self-esteem of a black man than the low self-esteem of a woman. She's going to off herself. He's going to off everybody else.
Right. Right.
Like
And you know what?
hates himself who goes and shoots a damn school because it's not racial, it's gender. So
Hmm.
the white kid who is male and goes and shoots up Columbine instead of just offing himself, like dude, just go die in your room. Like, why did you have to go shoot up school because it was a Monday? It's a masculine thing to do.
Right.
Or the Asian guy who shot up his university. It's a masculine thing to deal. It's how they deal with self-hatred. So it's in our communal best interest to take all of our black asses to therapy and figure out what the hell is going on. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I've been reading the book Post-Traumatic. I've been going on for so long. I want to first welcome Mr. Research and also welcome Mr. Seventh Court of Fire and ask you, Kenneth, are you familiar with either one of these brothers?
Yeah. What's up, brother? Research, man. How's everything?
Man, life is great. I'm on my final part of vacation. Got to go back to the fields,
Where
unfortunately.
are you at?
What's up?
I'm in the Bay Area. I work in medical.
Oh, you're in the Bay Area. I thought when you said vacation, I was expecting you to be in the Maldives or something.
Oh no.
You're taking a little staycation, huh? I feel you. So sometimes, man, you need to
Speaking of
relax.
the mental thing, that's one thing I had to do. I had to unplug, and the first part of my vacation, because it was for 3 weeks, I unplugged from YouTube for a week and a half, or just all internet for a week and a half. And what I learned there, and this may be helpful for people on the mental level. What I learned there was I had a slight addiction. I had to admit that to myself because I found myself wanting to go to it and kept slapping my hand like, what are you doing? And then the other thing is staying away from it kind of cleansed my ear soul, the soul in my ears. So it made me a little bit more reflective, which the second part of my vacation, the second week and a half, I started looking at me and picking me apart. So just on the mental, since you guys were talking mental, hopefully that's helpful for somebody.
No, that makes a lot of sense too.
Us spiritual women, we call that shadow work.
Yeah, sometimes you need that purge.
It's a difficult thing to do. So kudos to you for doing that work. It's not easy. We live in a better world if everybody could get a hold of, what Michael Jackson calls the man in the mirror and ask him to change his ways.
Right.
It's a lot. So
I'm sorry, Uppity. I'm not familiar with the other brother. Hey man, how you doing? I didn't want to leave you out, bro. I'm sorry. My bad.
this is the guy who made me cry today.
Hello there, brother. How are you doing, brother?
What's up, bro? How's everything?
Life is life. Life is only what it will be.
That's right. That's
So,
right. You made Uppity cry.
I don't know, but I'm an outlier.
You're not
I really exist outside of I see inside of the realm of Black YouTube, but I exist outside of the realm of Black YouTube at the same thing. And my position is different. Because my position takes into account life experience that doesn't contain prejudice. And I think, I was listening to you talk for the longest, and you said some valid things. And I think, and what we're seeing now is that, many, many times people are so strong about what they believe in for themselves that they can't accept, or they don't know how to control the spillover when it applies to someone else who may live differently.
What do you mean spillover?
Well, the spillover. So you made a good mention about relationships, and there are people who say, well, non-Black women are the best thing since sliced bread. And as an individual, I come from humble beginnings like anyone else, or like those who come from humble beginnings, because some of us don't. And there's nothing wrong with that, neither vice versa. And, I came through a very difficult path. I made some bad decisions and I learned from those decisions. And the change resulted in being able to live good, very good, with that experience, but there are scars. And so along that experience, from the relationship aspect, I've dated, or I've been in relationships with all types of women. And the one thing that I tout as a success in doing that is simply understanding the engine and the blueprint of a woman. People may say, when I say that they're all the same, people are quick to assert that as a disrespect.
It's not just like women are all the same.
Right. But if you look under the hood, they function the same, but they're inherently and uniquely different. But they are women, And so when I say that I've, been in relationships with all types of women, I've experienced the same range of emotion, the same range of anger, the same range of fear, the same or similar range of insecurities, whether it was a Caucasian white woman, a Caucasian woman from the Ukraine or Russia, whether she
May
was German, right, whether she was German, whether she's 100% from native Africa, whether she's 100% native Chinese or Dominican. They're the same, and they react the same depending on what it is that you do or don't do, what you expose them to, and so forth. And so when you hear people, now that I've made that premise, there are people who have had traumatic experiences. And in those traumatic experiences, they've found a situation that relieved them of that experience where life is a lot better, the grass is a lot greener on the other side. And depending on their maturity level or depending on their hurt, they may inflate or celebrate that good experience a little bit into overdrive. And to some people looking at that, it's kind of like, as men, we know, like sometimes I am this guy.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm that guy.
may
That's
I
me.
may,
And
may I-
so when I would win my fights, I was the type of guy that I really wouldn't say too much. You know, I would celebrate, but I was humble because, you know, I got the job done. I was safe. I wasn't getting transported to the hospital. And, you know, I always checked for the other guy. I was concerned about my competitor. I was never out to kill or hurt anybody, but I had a job to do. And
I
my
got
family,
you.
yeah, you know, my family was happy that I won, and they would celebrate more than I would and be happy. And I would see the other family be bitter. They would be angry. And that's whether it was boxing or whether it was, you know, the basketball court or what have you. But my point is that we have other people who celebrate life experiences with relationships where they went through hell. They just had a bad experience with someone, and they had a much better heavenly experience with someone else, and they're celebrating, but they're doing it in a capacity to where someone looking at that from afar is saying, okay, yeah, we see that you're happy, but you don't have to throw the confetti in my face. You're getting the wine bottle, you're getting the champagne on me.
What
I'm happy.
should I call
Yeah,
you Kenneth Court or should I call you Fire? How should I address you?
I'm Cyber Lyon 7th, the
Okay.
one and only.
So could I
I
just
just,
Cyber
yeah, I've
Lyon?
rebranded as the Court of Fire because that's that's what I've implemented in terms of my YouTube presence. Now I am active.
And
And
tell
so, yeah,
like I've seen you in action trolling Crystal and Karazin for the past couple of days.
so I knew you wasn't gonna let me get away.
I wasn't gonna let you get away with it. That was the first thing I wanted to talk
So
about is why you thought it was necessary to kick her so hard while she was down, especially now that I'm looking at this picture of you as this huge, giant, ferocious boxer. Like you look like you could bench press me and Crystalline together.
I
what,
can, but
Why
I can,
what is the trouble?
I can, but
Can someone find trouble?
I'm 5'9", but I'm in shape. I'm solid. You understand? And so, you
why
know, I've
why did
always.
you say those things in the chat? Why did you pay her to insult her?
I'll tell you why I did that. I do have a reason, and I stand by that reason. And so, as I explained to Mr. Ken, you know, I exist in this forum, looking at what is going on, and I'm going to relate to a lot of what Ken has been talking about in my answer to you. I'm going to draw from what he's saying because he just created a perfect lake in his reasonable speaking points. You know, when I make it no secret that I support Kevin Samuels, but I also make it no secret that I don't support 100% of what he says. Even if me and Kevin Samuels would sit down at table to table and his impression of me would not consider me high value, even about the money that I make. If it's certain other qualities that he didn't agree with,
That's not true.
but I'm just saying, as men, we can agree to disagree, and we can still move forward, or we can move in opposite directions without consequence.
You said you're a six-figure man. He says high value starts at six figures or 10,000.
Well, to him it does, but every man who has a lot of money isn't high value, and we have to remember everyone's pivoting and working off and reacting off of Kevin Samuels' definition of high value. Some of it you can take, some of it you can throw out.
Let me be clear. It's not Kevin Samuel.
Quality. They've said the definition. So you
Well,
have quality that doesn't require six figures, and then you have high value, which is purely a financial class.
Exactly. And so in disagreement,
not a financial. It's not a financial.
It's not.
This is
not.
LinkedIn way before Kevin even came around. High value has a lot to do with connections, how you're revered in your industry, and disposable people. You look at the Netflix special, a Black Godfather, a guy who never really had money, but he stayed in a mansion and he always had connections. The only reason Kevin brings the six figure into play because of today's standards. When a man has his disposable money, let's put it that way, he's less likely to have baby mama problems because he got a $5,000, $10,000 lawyer on deck. He's less likely to have child support issues because he can hire a $20,000 private investigator to get evidence for court. So when you got this disposable money, is different. A lot of people put money on it because that's the only way they can qualify in the value game. But then my last point is, who are you in your industry? If you're a trucker, are you known at a trucker association? Are you known by the brokers? Are you known, or are you just some invisible person on a laptop doing tech jobs that nobody deals with? You got to battle the other ethnicities every week to really consider yourself having value. You just can't hide away and make money. So I just wanted to make that point while I listen to you guys.
No, that's a good point. And what you said again, I agree with, because she had Dee Durrell on previously, and I stated my premise of what high value is, and the reason I say Kevin Samuels, again, I try to use my words very carefully. That's the would have been judge in me rather than the technologist scientist in me. I try to choose my words very carefully for a reason. The reason I say Kevin Samuels is because people are reacting to what they're seeing come from that source of where it is. And so there are men who try to call on Kevin Samuels' show. Obviously, he doesn't let them because it would interrupt the flow of his show. That's how he does his show. So I can't say Kevin Samuels is wrong. To me, there's an entertainment value to it, but more so to the point, I see the fallout. And like I said, I wanted to draw from what Ken said. So the reason I sent those things to Crystalline Carrison is because I saw what she did post the clip. I call it the clip, like the Thanos snap, the clip, because it was the clip that has us where we are now, and the immediate reactions to the clip instead of an insightful reflection into the show. That's where we are. That's the fact. And so in response to the clip, we have to remember, for some of the YouTube content creators, this is a competition, but it's all in good faith, because may the best content creator win. content creators are vying for willing subscribers, willing viewers who are willing to spend their time to come to a given content creator's channel. And if they really like the content a lot more, they're obliged to, contribute financially for what they like.
And you know,
You said, Ellen Carrison, that you are going to build on Kevin Samuel's model.
Yes, I did. I did. And I'll explain that.
Like you are basically going to turn yourself into Kevin Samuel's 2.0.
No, I'm not going to be able to
Let me say that.
I'll explain that. Yeah,